doorbell was ringing again, the 9th time in the last hour. Today, it seemed, every doorbell lover in the city was out. Such days do occur. I shuffled off grumpily toward the door and opened it. Who, if you can believe it, stood outside? St. Nicholas himself, in his famed historic outfit, white beard and rosy cheeks, the sack of apples, nuts, and gingerbread over his shoulder. St. Nicholas?
Who else?
As a young girl, I always fell asleep on the sofa waiting for you.
That was you?
So you remember then?
Of course. You were a cute little rascal back then.
Well, I'm still little.
And you live here now.
That's right.
Well, on with business. Were the children nice this year? Who was naughty? And how so?
I clarified for him. I keep a childless household, and am too fond of children to overburden them by acting as their mother. St. Nicholas turned to leave. Please, stay a while, I begged him. Drink a cup of coffee with me. To be frank, I felt sorry for him. The wintry life of delivering packages up and down staircase after staircase, and over the stereotypical, slightly foolish inquiries after the good or bad behavior of beloved children who feared him and froze in their prayers at the thought of him. This was a job fundamentally unsuitable for a reasonably educated 1,000-year-old man. Do me the honor, there's late raisin bread. What can I tell you? He stayed. He deigned to stay. First, he wiped his boots clean on the doormat, then he leaned his sack against the coat rack, and finally drank a cup of coffee with me in the sitting room. With it, he ate 4 pieces of raisin bread, thick slices. Pola the cat has sprung onto his shoulders at the second slice and was lying like a fur boa around his neck and purring. The sound was like that of a gnome seated at a sewing machine.
You keep a cozy place here, he said. Decidedly comfortable.
Would you care for a cigar?
I wouldn't turn one down.
I offered the box. He helped himself. I gave him a light. Then, with a sigh of relief, he pulled off his right boot with the help of his left foot.
Oh, my feet.
Oh, you poor man. With
There's-
your job.
There's less work these days. Good thing for my feet. These phony Nicholases shoot up like mushrooms from the ground. Wherever you look, they stumble through the street and squares by the dozen.
On the other hand, one day the children will believe that you, the true Santa Claus, no longer exist.
True. The scoundrels damage my reputation. Most of them who throw on a fur, hang a beard off their faces, and copy me don't have the least talent. They bungle it. It's not so simple to be St. Nicholas.
Not by any means. Just once I wanted to give your business a try. But the beard was scratchy and made me sneeze. My little nephew cried out right away, "It's Aunt Erica!"
There, you have it.
It seemed he was gradually warming up to me. He puffed out marvelous big smoke rings. Pola the cat looked at him curiously. Then she sprung through one of the blue-gray rings as through a hoop and made her way to her favorite spot, the chair under the old wall clock, to take a nap enchanted by its ticking. Since we're already discussing your work, I said, I have a question for you that has preoccupied me since I was a child. I wouldn't have dared at that time. Today it's easier, as I've become a journalist in the meantime.
All right, then. More coffee, please. What have you wanted to ask me since you were a child?
Well, I began hesitantly. Your job, in a sense, is a mobile seasoning trade, right? In December you have plenty of work. It's all compressed into a couple of weeks. You could call it a short-term industry. And now... And now, what I'd burningly like to know is, what do you do for the rest of the year? Good old St. Nicholas looked at me with a fairly puzzled expression. It almost gave me the impression that no one had ever asked him such an obvious question before. If you'd rather not reveal anything about it.
No. Why not?
He gulped down some more coffee and puffed out a smoke ring.
There's more than enough to do in November, of course, with all the work collecting materials. In some regions, there will suddenly be no chocolate. No one knows why. Or the farmers will hold back their apples. And then the drama with customs control at the border and all the traveling papers. If things go on like this, I'll have to use up October for it too. Until now, I've really just spent October sequestering myself and letting my beard grow. I can't exactly run around all year as Santa Claus. Do you think I keep my fur coat on too? And then drag that sack 365 days a year all over the place? Well then I read the December mail. Before anything else, the children's letters. That holds things up colossally, but it's necessary. Otherwise, you lose contact with your clientele.
Sure. At this moment, the bell rang at the front door again. Please excuse me, he nodded. Outside on the landing stood a door-to-door peddler selling obnoxiously colorful picture postcards, who gave me a very long and very sad tale, the first part of which I listened to bravely and with ears clenched tight. Then I gave him the loose change I had on me, and we wished each other well. Although I refused steadfastly, he forced half a dozen of the horrid cards on me as a thank you gift. He was, in the end, not a beggar, he said. I respected his considerable pride and relented. Finally, he went away. When I returned to the living room, I found St. Nicholas groaning and putting his right boot back on.
I have to be on. It doesn't help a thing staying here. What have you got there?
Postcards. A peddler forced them on me. I find them rather atrocious.
Give them here. I know a buyer. Many thanks for your warm-hearted hospitality. If I wasn't Santa Claus, I might envy you.
We went to the hall, where he picked up his tools. Shame, I said. You still haven't told me about the rest of the year. He shrugged his shoulders.
I really must go.
We shook hands. I watched him through the window. He trudged through the snow with big, hasty strides. At the corner of Unger Street, a man was waiting for him. He looked like a peddler. That talker with his stupid picture postcards. They went around the corner together, or had my eyes deceived me? 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. This time it was the errand boy from the deli, Zimmerman and Sons, a welcome visitor. He brought the grilled roast chicken that I ordered, a small tender rolled ham, and 2 bottles of Pies Porter Goldchoffen, a late vintage. I reached to pay, but my wallet wasn't there.
There's no rush, Herr Doctor, said the messenger paternally.
I bet it's just on my desk, I said. But fine, I'll settle up tomorrow. Wait a moment, I'll bring you a fine cigar. But the box with the cigar was missing too. Nor could I find them later. No cigars, no wallet, the silver cigarette case likewise was nowhere to be found, and the cufflinks with the moonstones and the evening pearls were neither in their place nor anywhere else. In any case, not in my apartment. I couldn't figure out where any of them might be. I certainly didn't rush to check up on my railroad stock certificates or stamp collection. Nevertheless, it turned into a quiet, pleasant evening. The roast chicken and the pies porter were first class. No one else rang the door. Behind the windows, the snowflakes drifted down like an endless white mesh curtain. Pola woke up briefly and made woolen goulash out of a scarf. Truly a fine evening. Only something was missing, but what? A cigar, of course. Luckily, my golden lighter was nowhere to be found, for even I would admit, although I'm not easily perturbed, that to have a lighter but nothing to smoke could completely spoil the entire evening. You better watch out,